the Blue Jackets lost their home and season opener to the Philadelphia Flyers, final score of 4-2. Would have liked to have gotten this video out yesterday, but I did have some very important obligations to get to. Didn't take the video equipment, wouldn't have been able to really record one anyway. It was a game that came with a lot of anticipation, obviously. Ric Flair was there for some reason, and a lot of hope. Hope that would eventually be dashed throughout the game, but there was plenty of it to start the game. Blue Jackets getting a lot of their roster back and healthy. Philadelphia also getting a couple of their players back in Couturier and Cam Atkinson. Welcome back, Cam, to the NHL and to Columbus for that game. The energy for the Blue Jackets just did not really seem right for long stretches of the second and third periods. It wasn't all bad. I did think Elvis played a really good game, and we're saying that if the Jackets are going to take a step forward, it's going to have to be because one of the reasons is going to have to be because Elvis improves his play. And Elvis had a really solid game, and the Jackets still took the L, so it is going to require more than just good goaltending. And he did really keep the Jackets in the game when Philadelphia started to outplay the Jackets in those two second and third periods. Only 2 of the 4 goals were with Elvis in net, so if you just looked at the final score of 4-2, you're thinking, maybe Elvis let in 4 goals. No, he let in 2 goals, and then the third and fourth were empty netters. Carter Hart for the Flyers was definitely up to the task when he had to be. First period, I thought actually went pretty well for the Blue Jackets in almost every aspect except for the score. There were a couple of bad turnovers that the Flyers took advantage of on their 2 goals. You have Jake Bean scoring the first Blue Jacket goal in between the 2 Philadelphia ones. He also had Adam Fantilli getting the primary assist on Jake Bean's goal, so his first point in the NHL. So the Jackets went into the first intermission actually ahead in shots, and that did not last once the second period got started and started to get going. You also have Zach Werenski, one of the main stories after this game. Zach Werenski with an injury scare after Garnet Hathaway collided with him and went knee-to-knee on that one. It was initially called a major penalty and then reduced to a minor. Or I guess I should say it was initially not even called a penalty before the referees kind of conference on the ice and determined to call it a major and then review it and then reduce it to a minor. And I do really think the lack of response for Garnet Hathaway regarding that hit is a bit concerning. Look, I'm not in Garnet Hathaway's mind. I can't truly know whether or not he intended to go knee-to-knee with Zach Werenski. Somebody who did think it was dirty was Eric Goodbranson. He said so in his post-game press conferences, which, Eric Goodbranson was somebody who I would thought might try to, drop the gloves and go with him or at least try to deliver a big hit. But again, there was no real retaliation against Garnet Hathaway. The game just kind of went on without Zach Werenski. The lucky thing is he is only going to miss 1 to 2 weeks with a quad contusion, so that it's not even going to damage the structure of his knee, which probably would have kept him out for longer term. He is on IR for the time being with David Jiricek being called up. But again, luckily enough, Zach Werenski, he's only going to miss 1 to 2 weeks. Not the biggest deal in terms of you see a defenseman with a leg injury and he's not really putting weight on his leg, especially with Zach Werenski's recent injury history, and that could have been worse for Zach there. You have David Jiricek getting called up from Cleveland. Speaking of defensemen, Andrew Peeke did not have himself a good night on Thursday. Turnovers were an issue for him. He didn't, whether it was not getting back to break up that 2-on-0 or whether it was just him. He had a really bad turnover that I remember that gave Philadelphia a prime scoring chance that luckily enough Elvis was able to stop. I do think that when the defense was playing in the structure that they were kind of assigned with learning over training camp, you could see some improvement, but there are just too many individual plays or some rough plays with the puck in their own zone that just kind of threw everything off kilter just a bit too many times. The defending wasn't quite there. Not enough offensive pressure either for a team that was trailing for the majority of the game. Again, that second and third periods, not a ton generated until the very end of the game with the net empty. Power play looked especially abysmal again. It looks like same stuff, different day with the power play, with them not being able to generate a whole lot despite getting, I believe they got 3 chances. Nothing ever really looked close. And Carter Hart, again, he was stopping everything that he was seeing. While Patrick Laine did get a lot of shots, not a whole lot of screenshots or rebounds. And again, Carter Hart, he was definitely on it when he had to be. And I know Werenski went down, so it's like, the top defenseman on the top power play, quarterbacking that unit, he's down. But it's the NHL, it's hockey. You have to figure that someone on one of your power play units is probably going to be hurt or dealing with something. If the system that is put in play requires perfect circumstances, then that's just not a reliable system to go out and use. And this is just another, it's game 1, so I'm not going to freak out yet, but it's not just this game, but it's the years and years and years of evidence that this power play has just not been able to get going. The fourth line of Sean Kuraly, Eric Robinson, and Jack Roslovic stunk. Kent Johnson was a healthy scratch, kind of a controversial move there. He's already confirmed to be back in for tomorrow's game for the Jackets. I do feel like Jake Bean pleasantly surprised me. I did not expect to have Jake Bean pop out. He did have the goal, but I do think he gave himself plenty of other chances, and he was strong with the puck. Good for Jake Bean. So again, not everything was bad, but just enough was that the result honestly does not leave me excited for more Blue Jackets hockey. There are definitely losses that leave you wanting for more, like if you give up a late game-winning goal, like really late in the game, it's a heartbreak. Or if it's like an overtime thriller and you lose, like, oh, I can't wait to see more of them to get back. Again, there are just enough brutal stretches of play where it seemed like a lot of time the Jackets were just playing a bit uninspired. Maybe that changes with guys like Kent Johnson and even David Jiricek getting into the lineup and providing a spark. Also, Adam Boqvist, I thought it was interesting that he was a scratch for, it seemed like Andrew Peeke in favor of Adam Boqvist there. Maybe that gets changed around if Peeke continues to struggle a little bit to start the year. Or maybe Adam Boqvist might just draw in with Werenski out and Jiricek there. I'm not sure what Pascal Vincent plans on doing with the lineups after this one. And again, it's game one. I'm not going to freak out yet, but if the Blue Jackets still look like they looked like on Thursday, like 10 to 15 games into the season, then I do think it is justifiable to start going into panic mode a little bit. But that's going to do it for this one. Let me know what you thought about the game and the Jackets, what they're going to look like in the near future down in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more like it. I will see you at the next one. Thank you for watching.